Right, hello and welcome to the Two Arms podcast. It's me, Klaus, with George. Me and other George have nicknames. Other George couldn't be here today, unfortunately, because he's feeling rather under the weather. So if you want to send him a nice message, please feel free to send him a message wishing he's okay. However, today we are joined by the fantastic Fräulein from Instagram, who does part-time in reenacting and who wanted to come on the podcast. So hello.
Carteret, or Miss Carteret, and I'm from Norway, so guessing as, yeah, in my World War II Helferinnen uniform, so that's my main impression. But yeah, I'm here to answer some questions and talk about reenactment and have some fun.
Yeah, always good. As she's just said, she does Second World War reenactment, and you've done 1800s, I believe, as well.
Yeah, just a little bit. It was like the Great Northern War.
Mm.
So my friend brought me along. So it was quite fun, that too. I was trying to make the whole impression, but it kind of fell short when I focused on the World War II. But I hope to pick it up again because it's fun to do different eras, and yeah,
Mm.
it's fun.
I myself have done. I mainly do First World War. I've dabbled a bit in the Second World War, umming and ahhing whether to do more on that at the moment. I do First World War German. I do First World War British. I also plan to do First World War French later on. As hard as that is for a British person to say. Um, yeah, um, I've also done a bit of Saxon and a bit of Viking reenactment, and I briefly did some 1800s reenactments as well. So we both of us combined have got a pretty good baseline for talking about living history. Other George, who was supposed to come on, has gone on and off with living history. He's done First World War, Second World War, and I think he did mention to me he briefly dabbled in some medieval history. I'm not sure. I can't quite remember. Obviously, I can't find it because he's not feeling great. But yeah, that's what he said. Yeah. So the two questions we're going to ask today are: do reenactors ruin history? And the second question afterwards will be the worst time to be alive in history, which is always a hot debate topic because each generation say they've got it worse than the other. Um, so yeah, do reenactors ruin history? What do you think?
Think that no. Well, as long as it's done correctly and with humbleness and politeness, it's no problem for history. And it's actually doing history more good than bad because it's showing people that history can be fun and it can be like interactive, and it gains interest in people that might not think that reading a book is very interesting, but maybe seeing reenactors or talk to reenactors are more fun than just picking up a book. So I think as long as it's done correctly, it it's good for history. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think we have, personally, I think we have a bit of a responsibility, as you've just said, to do it correctly. And I think if it's done correctly, it can. However, sometimes I don't like to say it, but sometimes I think the bad in our hobby outweighs the good sometimes with certain events and certain groups and certain things. Just to let everyone know as well, quickly, daily disclaimer: we're not political. We're not singling out groups or anything. We're just going to be giving
Because
examples because there's a
it's
lot.
just personal, yeah, personal
Yeah,
experiences,
personal
and
experiences.
yeah,
Because there is a lot of butthurt people out there in the reenactment community. Too many,
yeah,
unfortunately.
it is.
Too many. Too many.
That has been my impression as well. That it can, yeah, it can offend some people. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a fun time. But yeah, I there's some aspects of living history I absolutely adore. I love the experience personally of wearing the uniforms. You learn. I feel you learn more wearing the uniforms, clothing, weapons, or whatever, or tools even of a certain time period, um, and you gain a lot of knowledge and power from that. However, at the same time, I think that comes with a bit of a mixed blessing I don't know if you personally have you done any mock battles or any.
No, sadly, I just been like watching because at the 18 reenactment, I was like a bar maiden or something,
Oh right.
something similar. So I was just looking at, staring at the people that were like mock fighting. So I didn't join. I just, yeah, I was a viewer.
I think you could do. I have a bit of an and an ah with mock battles. I'm planning to do a 24-hour, sorry, 48-hour living experience in a trench, living on an anniversary of the Battle of Loos, which was a huge battle in the First World War in France. We're not having any proper Germans, if that makes sense. We're having kind of living in the conditions the guys would have lived in at the time, obviously without death and explosions and stuff.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. You never know. With living history, you can never be sure. Um, but you've got, I think, when you have events, there's an event local to me at a railway station where they have a mock battle where the Allies attack and ambush this train, and there's the Germans on the train are defending it. I kind of don't agree with that because it gives people the wrong impression of war and some of the topics.
Yeah, absolutely. It can quite like um, for people that don't know that much about history, when they view reenactment, they think that this is what actually happened and this is like based on real events and this is exact replica, but it's not.
Yeah,
So
the I've been to I've been in a few mock battles. One was nearly my last mock battle
oh,
uh, due to an accident. Luckily, it missed. There was supposed to be a
yeah,
bayonet charge, and we would meet in the middle and stop
yeah,
on slippy ground. Someone's got a bayonet. What? It missed me by inches. It's like, sorry, sorry, sorry.
scary.
Yeah, it's like sorry, sorry, sorry,
Yeah,
sorry, sorry, sorry. Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry, accidents happen. You haven't actually done anything to me, so it's cool.
yeah.
But
Feel
yeah,
like it could have.
yeah. It's with mock battles. I think people don't understand the concept, especially with modern medieval battles. I can understand that's a bit different. But if stuff in the 21st century, when you've got there's a group, for example. So I'm gonna have to take this off. My head's boiling. There's a group who do Black Hawk Down Operation. I can't remember what it was called, but the code word was Lucy, and all the commanding groups were given in Mogadishu. And when they were they do a living history of that, and they clear the buildings, they shoot at the hostile insurgents and stuff, and it's like I'm not sure I agree with that actually. That's you know you're portraying a very close event that happened not too long ago, and you're kind of making a mock. Not sure about that.
That it can be a bit like, yeah, sensitive. Like if those people that are were actually fighting are still alive and they can watch this, and then
Yeah.
I haven't like talked to anyone like a veteran about what they actually feel about it, so I feel like I can't say the one way or the other, but I can understand that it can feel a bit insensitive to those people that were actually there and fighting. So
Yeah, it's the difference is you can kind of get up and walk away afterwards. The people who were really hit and killed there can't, and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, I've just had a message on chat from. I'm sorry if I say your name wrong, Mr. Weir's Gaming. I think. Sorry if I said that wrong, friend. I'm thinking of doing a 48 hours battle for D-Day tactical here in England, Pitt Park. Is that Monty's Men? Because I've heard about that. That looks quite good. If you're still watching, let me know. Let us know in chat if that's the Monty's Men event, because I'm quite interested in that. I think as well there's a lot of things people when they see or hear reenactors. There's a couple of things that make them go, oh, you're a reenactor. Oh,
Yeah, I've had some weird experiences. somewhere in the chat.
Mr. Weird's game again. I've personally met some Waffen SS veterans and they helped my group Pete Skillman. I must admit, I'm not. My area of expertise isn't on Waffen SS, so I don't. I've never heard of them. I'm sorry to say, it's not my area of history, but fair enough. Cool. It's always nice to have living history sources.
Absolutely. Like, it's the best source if you can talk to someone that was actually there. So, but I understand that, like, if you're doing medieval or like 1800s, you can't actually do that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Just have to.
Can't ask. What was it like to live
Maybe.
with the bubonic plague? Well, Jimmy.
Let me tell you about it. Yeah. So it's a bit harder, yeah.
There's going to be the 101st Airborne, 502nd Infantry, 506 Armoured Division, and about 5 SS groups. And a British glider unit.
Quite big, like a big event.
That is quite a big event.
There are no like really big events in Norway, so can't
really. There's some really good German events in Germany when I used to go over. I always wished I could have come. There's some really good stuff over there. But there's some good stuff in the UK as well, but you're a bit more spaced out and trying to find stuff with. I don't want to say decent groups, but groups that know their stuff, and you know you're getting the full measure with them rather than just a week drinking beer, like some groups.
I've noticed that some of the events, like I have some fellow reenactors on Snapchat, and sometimes when they go to events, all the snaps I get from that event is just like them drinking, them partying, them puking, them drinking again, them partying again. I'm like, what are you doing on this event other than drinking and partying?
My group, my First World War group. Okay, yeah. Sorry, just a quick message. If you want, yeah, I will do. I'll DM you and see and have a look at what it is. Then I'll DM you later after the stream about that, Mr. Do Again. Cheers. Thank you very much. What the group I'm with, because the German unit who were attached to my group. I don't want to say my group's name because I don't want to upset anyone, and because I know some people get butthurt. But the group I'm with, we have a rule, which is if the corporal has spent all day, Unteroffizier has given you orders all throughout the day, and you followed them all and you've done well, he buys the first round of beer for everyone, as say thank you, because you haven't had to listen to my orders, you haven't had to obey them, but you've done them in character and you've done them, as would have been historically correct, and we're not real soldiers. First of all, I tried to join the army, I couldn't get in. Whatever, but
oh well.
I'm kind of glad I missed out. The more and more I think about it, but that's kind of the rounding it, and it is a good laugh at the end of after an event when you've had a couple of beers with the friends and you're in uniform and you're all interested in the same stuff. It's a nice atmosphere.
Absolutely. The event that I was going through to the 1800s, we were just like around the campfire and we had like some drinks and then we played some games and that was really fun. But I'm thinking like it's a bit different between like having a drink or two and having some fun and just getting shit faced.
Yes.
If I'm allowed to say that.
Yes, you are. You are more. You can swear on this. This is marked as adults, so you can swear as much as you want.
Okay.
Yeah, we had one chap in our unit who drank himself bad, and what's the first rule of camping, and the first rule of reenacting, I think, as well, is don't do anything until you've set your tent up and your bed. He'd set his tent up, but he hadn't set up his bed. And I went to bed about 2 o'clock, and at 3 o'clock I get woken up by our Unteroffizier going, "What the fuck are you doing? Get out! Get out!" And I turn over. He climbed into the Unterofficer's bed, fully clothed, with boots on and everything, and just started sleeping in his sleeping bag because he couldn't be out. And then when I woke up in the morning, there were these boots just inside the tent, and this person sprawled out on the ground outside of it. It's like, oh, what happened? Ah, okay. And this guy had slept in the open all night. And it's like, oh, okay. But yes, we took his rifle off him for the day for obvious reasons, and his bayonet.
Probably a good idea.
Yes, you've got to be very careful.
Yeah, I can see why that part can ruin history.
Yes.
As reenactors, they're just so hangover or drunk or just doing crazy inappropriate stuff while the audience or someone is watching.
Luckily, this was out of hours, so there wasn't any public around.
Yeah.
Only us, and I'll be honest. If people think we're all reenactments are just full of old people who afterwards sit down and have a calm discussion with wine around the fire, no,
it's not like that.
They have good fun. They have really good fun.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, you do get the odd occasion where you think, not sure about that.
Yeah.
Yes. Quick chat again. I wanted to join the overtime. Oh, that sucks. I hope you've recovered from your accident. I hope you're all right. Yeah.
Oh.
Type 1.
I don't know that much about diabetes, but it doesn't sound fun. So, yeah, I hope you're doing okay and taking care of yourself.
Yeah. But yeah, I one of my pet hates for living history. I don't know if it's your pet hate as well. Is when you get people who are using modern standards to judge history.
What you mean, but could you elaborate a bit so I quite fully understand?
Yeah, no worries. So one of the most common things I get when I do British is I get a current serving soldier or a soldier who had served in the 60s when Britain had national service come up to me and go, "You're doing the salute wrong. You're doing doing the rifle drill wrong because that's not how I did it." And it's like, well, I'm portraying a soldier from 100 years ago who had a different set of morals, different set of codes. Yeah, I think people more with the American Civil War get it, but I'm not sure.
But yeah, I absolutely understand that. Okay, I understand that you did this thing in the army like 10 years ago, but this is 150 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a bit different. Yeah, I can totally understand that.
Yeah, it's the amount of times people have gone stuff like the Germans in the First World War were complete barbarians. I've been called a baby murderer, and I've stabbed nurses and done very, very nasty things. I'm aware there's a nurse on the other side of the screen. Don't worry, we're on the same side, at least.
Yeah.
Within 50 years' time.
We're on the same side. We're good.
But yeah, I've been called a baby murderer and stuff, and it's like, yes, no, not really. Yes, Germany did some bad things, but compared to some of the things that were going on from historical resources, everyone was bad. I've had an old man come over to my whole unit and basically stand there shouting at us, calling us shames to the British flag.
Yes. And this was in World War One.
This is World War One, and unfortunately, people can't seem to distinguish the difference between World War One and World War Two.
Damn that! It's easy, but okay.
No, because it's easier to blame two things. It's easy to just put two things together and go, "Yep, they're completely the same."
Yeah, you're portraying a German. I see. You must be bad. So, yeah, it's weird.
Do you know much about the Royal Dublin Fusiliers? I know a fair bit. My great-grandfather was in the regiment in the First World War. He was at Gallipoli in the Battle of the Somme. Right. Sorry, I'm going to have to go on a quick tangent with this. The Dublin Fusiliers, there is a memorial to them and all the other Irish units who fought on the Somme. There's something called the Irish Tower, I believe it is, and it's dedicated to all the Irish who fought. against who fought against the Germans, and obviously not getting too political with Ireland, and obviously what happened afterwards. The Irish Fusiliers were at Gallipoli, and they served at the Somme. They served on a very particular part of the Somme, though. I can't really know that much. Possibly 1st Battalion in Rueton. The best place to look for that, my friend, is the Long Trail. If you can find him out, you can look at a website link called the Long Trail, and that will help you research all to do with the First World War. There's some very interesting stuff there. Unfortunately, they don't do German units, which is my specialty, but you never know.
So,
I was at a full event in full SS kit and someone asked if I was British. I was in British kit and someone asked if I was SpongeBob. Sorry, no, if I was Squidward from SpongeBob. And how the drain worked.
sorry. Okay,
This is
I see.
I mean, I have the attitude of Squidward sometimes, but I didn't think I looked that much like him. But
I think we all do. Like when we're children, we are like SpongeBob, but when we grow up, everyone turns into Squidward.
I wouldn't have minded, but this was a fully grown adult. This wasn't a this wasn't a kid. This was a fully grown adult. I think they'd both been smoking something though, but.
So that it was like not fully serious about that.
Oh no, he was. I thought he was joking at first, but it was just the deadpan face.
Okay.
Don't do LSD, kids. It's bad for you.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do drugs.
You have to excuse me doing a striptease at the moment.
Yeah, it's so warm. I was like trying to like. Whew. So it's in Norway. It's been like 30 degrees, and it's like really humid because it was thunder and lightning the other day, and it's just the humidity and the warmth is just too much. So it's like trying to like get some air on my face.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Luckily, this is not the warmest.
Yeah. Again, as living historians, you get hot very quickly in uniforms. They are meant to be warm, and they are really warm.
But I was so glad that I had the uniform on when, or not uniform, but the reenactment clothes during the 18 reenactment, because it got really cold at night, and we had to sleep on just like straw inside of a tent. So we had like straw and woolen blankets, and I just slept with all my clothes on, and me and my friend would like sleeping like really, really close together, and like putting all of our extra clothes on top of us because it was just so cold.
Yeah.
And if I had been wearing like normal clothes, nah, that wouldn't have worked. That would be too cold. So
We did an event not far to find near in a barn in winter, and we went to sleep in full. We went to sleep in full kit because it was just too cold to take you full. So sleeping in a full British kit. I know I talk British a lot. I usually do more British than German. The only reason I was wearing my German uniform now was because I find the Germans more interesting. Just me. Sleeping on a full blanket, and when I woke up, my blanket was white. There was snow. There'd been a hole in the roof, and it had snowed, and it had gone all over. It's like, oh right, okay. Right, not sure about this one. I tell you, that was the best cup of coffee I ever had that morning. K98 Mauser 07 asks where to find good uniforms. To be honest, it depends what you're looking for. Is there any particular uniform you're looking for, or any kind of period? I can try and list you some good sellers, depending on what you're interested in. In fact, we both can. Sorry, we both can.
Dresses, you can talk about it to me, but
yeah,
if it's like female impressions, I know a lot of good seamstresses and where to get them. But the male impressions, I haven't looked that much into, and where to get and all of that. Like, it's not something I have to check up or research because I'm not gonna wear it. So
Yeah.
German one.
German one.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, the Arzenata and Deckel design that were mentioned in the chat, and those are two really really good seamstresses that are doing female impressions, but they can do German impressions male as well, and they do it really good. So absolutely check them out. There's a bit of wait time, like half a year or so, but they are really really good quality. So I can absolutely recommend the Arzenata and Deckel.
I need to
I
check them
think
out. Okay, I need to check them
yeah,
out.
yeah. Those are really, really good. All my uniforms are from Arzenata or Deckel. So
Get to Feikel. The events I go to in Germany are the smaller ones. One is a museum called Villa Gagalub. I know me and Geta know each other, so he's going to have a go at me for pronouncing that wrong later. It's a bunker that was part of the Westenwall and was restored. Now every anniversary there's a weekend where we wear our German Second World War equipment and questions about the kit, living abandoned pieces of expedition. Yes, I believe before things happened in my private life, I was invited to that as well.
nice.
It looked from the pictures I saw. It looked a very good event. It looked a good fun event. Thank you so much, but it's really expensive. Yes, living history is a very expensive hobby, if you're not a seamstress.
Yeah, I it to you. It's expensive. that, uh, that's just the way it is.
I can confirm for Dackel Design, the WW2 German sportswear is very high quality. There you go. You've got three.
Yes, it
You've
is.
got three reenactors backing you up there. That's going to get the good stuff.
Yeah, I have that sport uniform, so and it's really good quality.
What?
It's really
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying that it's nice to wear good quality and it looks really really authentic.
What I'd recommend K98 Mauser is if you have a group or there's a local group that you know of, ask if anyone's got any kit you can borrow for an event, just so you can dip your toes in it and you can experience kind of, because it's not for everyone. I've known people who've come in and out of the hobby because they disagree with elements of it for some reason. Because you will find more nutters there than you will find sane people, and myself included.
Yeah.
Myself included. I'm a bit of a nutter. But usually they have a backlog of a kit for if they have new members. So if you ask, I'm sure they'll lend you kit for a few events, so you can see if you actually enjoy doing it before you commit to it, before spending lots of money on it.
Borrowed my clothes when I went to the I think like the Great Nordic War reenactment. I just borrowed the clothes. I had a few parts myself, but mostly borrowed. It was quite fun.
Yeah.
Sorry, my cat is screaming outside. There in the distance. Sorry.
We can't hear it. Don't worry, it's fine.
Okay, good.
Cats will be cats. Cats will be cats.
Yeah, it's raining and he hates rain, so
Oh, bless him.
yeah, he's a baby boy, but
Oh,
he will just have to scream.
do you want to get him in?
2 seconds. I will
Yeah, no worries.
get my cat.
Yeah, go
Sorry. I feel so sorry for him.
It's fine. Go save the cat. Definitely the case with my group nutters. Yes, there's living history. You don't find normal people. What Mr. Word Games? What group are you, if you don't mind me asking? K98. Thank you so much. Anytime living historians will always help other people who are interested in the hobby. Just ask around. You'll find some good stuff. Oh, that looked like a cute.
He's
cat.
in.
That looked like a cute cat.
Yeah, he's just little. Now he continues to scream. Anyways, I will ignore him now. He's inside. He has food. Everything is okay.
No worries. Don't worry.
Yeah, he's really cute. His name is Albus.
Albus the cat.
Yeah, like Albus Dumbledore.
Ah,
Yeah. So that's his name. Um, he's really cute, but yeah, a bit screamy.
bless. Um, but yeah, I think I hate to say this, but I think with living history as well, and I again feel free to disagree with me. There are certain time periods or certain people who portray certain things that just make you think, oh god.
Be a bit like, I'm scared.
Second battle group will betray the third company first. Okay, I think I've met your group.
It's so fun, like in England or Britain, they're like, "Oh, I know this guy or I know this group," and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on.
My ex girlfriend's dad, when we first met, I was absolutely terrified of meeting him. And he's from Germany, I'm from the UK, and I walked in, and we'd never met each other, and he goes, "So you're a member of this group?" Yes, because he was really into reenactment. He was well known for his living history stuff. So he goes, so you're part of this group? Yes. Do you know this person? And it was a person in my group who had caused our group to split. So I knew him quite well. It's like, yes, I know that person. What do you think of him?
Oof.
He was a bit of an asshole. I like you. Have a beer. And yeah,
Correct
yeah,
answer.
correct answer. Yeah, and we got on. We got on with. We got on like a house on fire. Just a lonely
Oh,
boy 8. Do you make good money on?
coffee. Is it enough for new impressions? Are you asking me? Because I assume that you're not having a coffee page, or but no, it's not enough for a new impression, but it's enough to like improve the impressions I have and make new photo shoots and yeah, just get accessories and just try to make the photos better. Um, and it's absolutely like if someone wants to uh, support on coffee, they can do so. But if they don't want to, that's also okay, of course. So just it's just like an option for people who would like to see more photos because I am working a part time and I just bought a house and reenactment is expensive. So yeah, everything helps. Mm.
Oh, cool. My group's been in a Journey's End, a First World War film. We did all the extras for that, and we've been in a couple of BBC documentaries and stuff. Yeah, it's always nice when the media calls on us to do stuff like that. Oh, very nice, very nice,
Really cool.
really interesting.
Like they ask instead of just picking like random people and put them in a uniform and just be like, "You're in a movie now." It's good to ask people that have actually done their research and know what they're doing because it will look much better in the movie. Absolutely.
I'm
So
just at, I'm asking because I was wanting to make one myself. I'm just scared of doing sexy. Right, okay.
sure, you have a nice body. Don't worry about it. No, but you do what you're comfortable with, and that what's important. Like we all have bodies, and we're all everybody is beautiful the way they are, and one should be proud of themselves, no matter how and what they look like. And you do what's comfortable for you, and that's what I think it's the most important thing. That if you are okay with it, then go ahead. But if you're not, then don't go ahead. So yeah.
I've heard from people when I've done living history who've said if you don't have the money to do it, you shouldn't do it. Uh,
Yeah.
my
Okay.
response to that is usually, if you'll pardon my French, bollocks. Um, because if you're really passionate about it and you really want to, and you're really really interested in doing something, just do it. Just I'm sure. I for many years didn't have First World War British gear, and by a miracle of luck, I got my entire kit for free. My entire
Oh
First World War
wow!
kit for free, and to make it even more, it was original. That
Wow!
tunic and trousers you see me wearing of British stuff is an original one. And I was just in
Really
the right
nice.
time at the right place and how I'm the right age. If you're young and you can get into a living history group, you can get a lot of good stuff for free because people
Yeah,
do care because they know you're the next generation, so they will give you stuff. So don't worry.
absolutely. And it's okay to start little and borrow or do that, and then grow slowly if that's easier. That and my cat is actually on my lap now.
Aww.
Yeah, he wanted to join, so I just let him. But there are always people that are willing to help you if you need help or um, just for things like I don't like you said the thing that you shouldn't start doing reenactment if you can't afford it. Is like no, just start. Everyone has to start somewhere. So
Just don't make
oh
the
yeah,
mistake I did. Go out, buy a ton of kit, and then be told it's all wrong and stuff. Because once you do that, you'll feel like the biggest
yeah.
mug in history.
Do
Don't
your research
do your
first.
research first. Make sure you know you're buying the right stuff. And even if you're unsure or somewhat you've heard bad things, ask. There's plenty of people in the hobby who are more than happy to just talk you through it.
Yeah,
The people there are really You will come across. It's like normal life. You will come across assholes, but you just
yeah,
ignore them
absolutely.
and get on with life.
Yeah, exactly. So
Good
and
fucking.
that
Sorry, go on. Sorry.
no, I was finished. Don't worry about it.
The second event I go to is one by a private person who has a replica of a Panzer II. It's a small event with 100 people reenacting different eras, for example, German Second World War, US Second War, Vietnam War, and others. It's open to the public as well, and the event is pure camping and living in the world, sometimes even driven around and attack the American camp. Yeah, but basically it's camping for. Yeah, that's a good event. Got
Reading.
10,000
So
worth of
yeah.
kit. I'm looking into doing other reviews. Yeah. Um, yeah,
Boots.
it does cost loads, but just be patient and accept you're going to make mistakes on the road, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, it's okay to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. So and just yeah, we all do mistakes, and it's just how you respond to them and like how you deal with them. That is the important part. Like if someone calls me out for doing something wrong, I'll take it to heart and try to better myself and don't do that wrong thing again. So,
And again, with living history, that you will come across assholes. You be assertive. If you know someone says something wrong and you know they're wrong, don't be afraid to go. Well, actually, my sources say this. If they're not saying quoting sources or pictures, they're
yeah,
talking out their arse.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like they have to get their sources straight. Like if they're going to correct you, they can't just be like, "Lol, you suck." So
I had a bloke have an argument with me over my boots because I will just show them. Ah. These are my First World War boots. They're marching boots. And he was complaining to me in all the pictures I've seen, they're wearing hobnail boots, which for those who don't know, they're like a cut off here and they're a bit more. And I kept trying to explain to this gentleman, yes, they did wear those. They also wore these. These were the first layer. A lot of these were changed over to normal boots. In fact, the German army actually started paying people in the First World War for bringing their own leather boots. For various reasons, because the material was low and stuff. But no, you should be wearing ankle boots. No, here's my photos, here's my proof, here's a German field manual, here's the... and he still wouldn't shut up about that, but at that point you just go, okay, sir, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir.
Yeah, I also got some like comments about my shoes. Like, your shoes are wrong, and I was like, no, they're not. Just take a look at like here's a 10 original photos that shows the exact type of boot or of shoes I'm wearing. So no, they're not wrong.
Not everyone
Uh,
wore the same shoes.
yeah, no,
Any
exactly.
conflict?
As yeah, and for the nurses, they weren't issued shoes, so
Civilian
they
shoes
have to
though.
bring their own.
Yeah.
So there's pictures of like nurses in white sandals and high heels and a lot of stuff.
Mr. Gamer. Oh, I think this is a question for you.
Oh,
Fucking.
should I read it? I can read it.
Yeah, read it out loud if you want.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mr. Wires Gaming, my uncle is sending me various original documents, etc., about my grandfather's service in World War II, so I can build a British impression for what I find out about him. My grandfather liberated Belsen and was possibly with the 11th Armored Division. I think I told the Fucker Catalan about it yesterday. Oh, okay. Yeah. So it wasn't like a question for me, but yeah, that's really cool. I guess that's more up your alley since it's British and yeah.
Mm. Is there any
uh,
event you would love to do if you had all the money in the world? What would you go for? If you have all the money in the world, you can do
if
any
I
impression.
could do
Yeah.
yeah, if I could do anything I wanted, um, hmm, I would. I think there's like two different things that I want to do. One, because it just looks like super fancy. I would do like French aristocracy, like super fancy
Oh,
dress, just because
Marie
it's like,
Antoinette, that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
just because it's so over the top and like wow factor. But it would just be too expensive and too massive to keep in my house. That like the first one, and the second one is actually the thing that was my first impression that I wanted to do, which is front sister. That is the Norwegian volunteers in the German Red Cross had their own uniform.
Hmm.
They had like a specific grayish uniform that was issued to just the Norwegian um, girls, and that one would be so cool to do. But there is nobody making it. It's like neither Art Sonata or Decal Design is making it. They don't have the pattern for it. There is like one original uniform that is in a museum in Norway. So
That sucks.
it's really, really hard to come by, but that one would be so cool.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it would be so nice. But since there's no one making it, I have to make it myself. And I have
Yeah.
some sewing. Yeah, I have some sewing experience. I know how to sew, and I have the pattern ready, but I can't find the correct fabric. And if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get the correct fabric for this.
I'll send you a
So
link to something after this because I think that might be useful. There's a
yeah,
shop in the UK that does
yeah.
historical materials exactly.
Oh,
Um,
wow,
they do specifically for uniforms of all kinds. So if
wow.
they may have it, we'll have a chat about that
Yeah,
after the stream, and we'll see.
really cool. I can check it out.
Yeah, I'll send you the link over later. But yeah,
Thank you.
for me, either Eastern Front or Norman. Nah, I'm sorry, that's not for me. No. My First World War German impression is snipers at the moment. If I had all the money in the world, I'd get my British and German sniper stuff sorted, and then I think I'd go into medieval, like about ooh
Yeah, that's cool.
13th century German Gothic kind of era when you get the big, the big plates of Gothic armor and the massive two-handed Schweihanders and stuff. That's
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm skinny as hell, so it won't look impressive, but I'll feel cool. So that's what's important.
Yeah.
just go spend my weekends battering people in a ring with axes and stuff.
Yeah, those look so cool. I've been to some like in Norway we call them medieval markets, but it's like Renaissance fair or something similar. But they're usually people with like horses in like full armor and all this. So like, wow, it looks so cool. So and they have like fights. They have like tournaments where they fight with like swords and they just
I'm guessing
crash into each other.
I'm guessing they do Hema then, historical martial arts wave. I very, very briefly did some Hema, which was quite fun. I've got the stuff for it. I've got, again, finding time and the money to sink into it would be good.
Yeah, and they also have like the oh no, I forgot the word, but like when you ran with horses against each other.
With like
Jolting?
yeah, jousting.
No. Yeah, jousting. Yeah, that also looks really cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was at there's an event in the UK called I can't remember it. The History Fest, the Festival of History, and they did jousting. And one night hit another knight, and they called an ambulance on, and the knight's finger, the lance had gone and pushed his finger all the way back. They really get hurt. It pushed his finger was there, his finger had gone, and his fingernail was touching the back of his hand. It pushed it back that far.
It was like, oh,
yeah,
ooh.
it pushed through his finger back, and he had to go to hospital. But he was in good spirits. He was laughing and joking because that's what you do. You know.
Yeah. What are you supposed to do? Like, you go. I also imagine like if you get hurt, like seriously hurt at a reenactment event, and then the ambulance have to pick you up in full kit. And it's like, how absurd must that be for the people that
I've heard secondhand stories of someone. There was a German group in the UK, and the Germans obviously have the Wounded Man's Badge, the Iron Cross. You've got a lot of different awards and stuff. One group, if you get hurt during a mock battle, and you need to go to the medical tent, you get the black Wounded Cross. If you get hurt and need to spend a day in the hospital, you get the silver one. And if you get hurt and the ambulance has to come and take you on, and you have to go through surgery, you get the golden Wounded Cross. So that was like their medal ranking. And I can't remember what it was, but if you cripple yourself and manage to like break an arm and a leg at the same time, and you're off you get the Iron Cross, 3rd class, and that was their medal ring because it was how often you got hurt from doing stuff.
But it makes sense. It's like
I can't complain. My marksman lanyard I wear on my tunic. I'll just show it. Is 1st class. My group have a strict thing about medals and stuff. I kind of brought because I do snipe. Because sniping is my thing, I kind of need proof that.
Yeah.
That's the lowest of the lowest marksman thing.
Me too. I have no extra on my collar, and my brooch is like the lowest class, and it's just I was just thinking that it would be more natural to start at the bottom, and work your way up.
If someone wants to be the officer, there's something wrong with them.
Like immediately have like a full medals and just be like, yeah.
We used to simulate an ambush and simulate guys. Oh, cool. Yeah, I've seen stuff like that, like the War and Peace show. We issued the winning badge for injuries, like actually, yeah. A lot of groups do that. Our group doesn't issue. I've got a First World War British wounded badge, but that was only given to people who were crippled. So it's like I'm not crippled. I can't have an excuse to wear it. But there's certain things you can and can't do. I've been to events, and I'm sure you have as well, where you've had someone, as if they go through a metal detector, the thing's just going to go for about an hour because of the amount of medals and stuff they've got on, and you're sitting there thinking, you don't look very good wearing all that.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to stop and wonder, like, what is going on?
I saw at one event there was Russians from the Second War, like all this big group of Russians, and one of them had medal, literally, you know those pictures like the North Korean generals who've got medals going all the way down there? He had it from about the top of there down to about his thigh were all these medals. And it was like really? He's like, how did you get that one? I am great patriotic soldier. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. Well,
Good for you.
well, I was like looking at it, going, okay, well that medal means you've built 8 tanks in a day, and you're a soldier. So I don't think you've been building tanks. That medal means you've been. That medal means you've taken out 4 panzers and now you get free public transport. Okay, I can accept that. Hang on, you're a rifleman. How the hell have you done that? That would be. A friend of mine is a German, and their group, you have to get hurt in an event to have sick and get sick leave for at least 3 days for getting the wound badge. Like, yeah, I kind of like that. We had one guy caught in a pyrotechnics, another got his calf burnt and split open. Yeah, my group nearly got set on fire from another group. They got attacked with a flamethrower, and there was we don't talk about that group anymore. They're not a very well known. They're not a very well liked group by anyone. I shan't use names, but they do a German impression of a certain
If
unit.
they almost set you on fire, it's understandable. I haven't seen any like big injuries in my time doing reenactments. Just like minor scrapes and like cuts, nothing serious. So, but we did have some last year on the National Day. There are some people that are doing reenactments that are also shooting like cannons at the National Day, 17th of May, and it went really wrong last year, and that was quite. Yeah,
Jeez.
it was in the news and all of that, and many of those people were reenactors, so that wasn't very fun. So be safe. Try to
Yeah, be
not
safe.
get yours. Yeah.
There are times when
Try.
people will forget it is an event, not the historical.
Yeah, you don't have to get hurt, like seriously hurt.
Yeah, don't. Two Arms podcast does not encourage people chopping off their limbs to try and get medals from 100 years ago.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't deliberately hurt yourself to get medals. It's not worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Like, no.
I forget it's.
If it happens,
Sorry, I was reading a comment.
no, just if it happens, like it's an accident, well, that shit happens. But don't like go and think, okay, today I'm gonna get that medal. So, not good.
Back in the 60s and 70s, we used to do hand-to-hand combat and actually beat the shit out of enemies both sides, and we used to pull out bayonets and shields, but yeah, I was in 70s. Yeah, no, having witnessed that firsthand, I'm kind of glad there's marshals and stuff now, because I've had a friend who has had a shovel to his temple during an event from someone, and he's not okay to this day. So I'm kind of glad whenever we do hand-to-hand combat, we always rehearse it and make sure it's safe. We try not to get too close. We've had people that get excited in the past and let blanks off. I've had someone put a blank firing pistol on my shoulder and pull the trigger, like the gun's gone over my shoulder and they've fired it, and I've had words with that particular gentleman. This wasn't a military reenactment, this was a civilian reenactment as well, which made it even worse. Blanks don't if you ever it doesn't take a genius. Blanks don't just fire hot gas. They can and will kill you and maim you. Don't mess around with blanks. They're not.
Yeah. It's not like, yeah, just shooting air. It's like, no.
You're not just shooting it. You are shooting gas, which can easily kill. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some big force behind that. So.
I would really like to have a scar going over my face, but really I prefer a Tank Command impression. Maybe even blinding one eye, wear an eye patch, making you look for a big scar. Hey, are you going for something like Kelly's Heroes, where the tank commander's got like a scar, a dueling scar across his face, going across there? Members would finish the event battles or cut up and have broken bones. Yeah, I was talking to my mum about this the other day. There's a living history group called the Sealed Knot. I know we're not saying group names, but this was in the 80s. Who do English Civil War, and after each battle there'd be a line as long as like a queue for McDonald's once lockdown's over, of people at medicine with broken arms, limbs, and stuff. And it's like, yeah, be careful, don't get carried away. Thunder flashes can
Yeah,
hurt too. Yes, I've had one go off in my hand when I've tried to storm a dugout. It's not fun. It stings, but it's not worth losing your fingers.
yeah, absolutely. Stay safe. And I also seen some reenactment with horses and like be careful. Like horses are living creatures; they can get scared, and
And they can
and
trample. They can trample.
yeah, like be careful around like animals or like big vehicles and so. Like, yeah, you don't know. So I saw some like during the jousting, like the horse got scared and like spooked to the side towards the audience. So, and I was thinking that if someone was standing a bit too close, they would just be smacked by that horse. So it's not worth it.
Get fed again. No, like Otto Scudzi, the one who commanded the mission to free Mussolini. Oh, the most dangerous man in Europe. Yeah, I don't know. You do you. I wouldn't, because there's a lot of reading into the ideology and stuff. There's a big thing over that. I'm not German. I'm British, and I understand there's dueling scars were seen as a respect of honour. However, I know that there's a certain ideology that goes behind it. But you do you. I personally wouldn't do it, but you do you.
So yeah, I think that if you're going to do like things that have problematic backgrounds, you really have to do the research and know exactly what this impression is like supporting or standing for, so you know that what happened and what they did, and yeah. So and not just like throw up some like SS and be like, haha, this is fun. Like, yeah, you have to know.
Yeah.
It's important.
There's an element of I wouldn't say safeguarding, but there's an element of understanding that, okay, yes, you do SS, that's fine. You do German Second World War, you do German First World War, you do British First World War, you do Second. There's a you people will perceive you in different, both overly positive and overly negative, and you have a responsibility as a living historian to understand that, people will
Yeah,
apply politics to it. So
yeah. So and I also try to like not bring my personal opinions into it, because I feel like when I put on my like impression that I'm playing a role,
mm,
that I have to know what role I am playing and what this character would have done, and like
yeah.
but still be polite about it, like yeah. So
Do you ever
yeah.
portray
So,
responsible for the Maccas of the British forces in our training responsible? Yeah, that's why I don't do SS. Having been to the site where that massacre happened, and having had relatives and talked to veterans who were witnessed, and having gone to Auschwitz and Auschwitz-Birkenhauser, it's partly why I deliberately stay away from SS. If you do SS, all the best to you. I mean, you do you, but no, sorry, it's definitely not my cup of tea. There's some things I will do, and there's some things I won't do, and that's certainly not one. I don't betray any SS units. Sorry, this is Getified Kell. I don't want to betray any SS units since the Jewish community that got deported, so I don't want to have any entity. Yeah, I'm kind of have to agree with you that one. again, are not picking on any groups or any individuals who do reenacting for purely because it's history. I do find that you do get people who do SS. Not saying, Mr. Wild Gaming, you do. This is not a statement against you or your group, but you will find people who do SS for the power and their political views agree with it, and I personally don't agree with that.
Yeah, yeah. I also met some people that seem to do like SS because that gives them an excuse to say like problematic stuff.
Yes.
I'm like, no, no, you can't do that. It's not okay. So that can be, yeah, quite problematic if people it's already a bit like sensitive topic and problematic. So if you portray something that is already a bit like, and you have to be really careful. So because it can ruin it can ruin history
Yeah.
for people. Absolutely.
Yeah. Again, no offense, Mr. Ryers Gaming. You do
Yeah.
use. I just personally I wouldn't do SS for those reasons. If you do them, I'm sure you're not a Nazi. You don't come across as a Nazi, and I don't think you or any members of your group are Nazis. I'm just saying that there are people who do SS units who I have met who very very tightly hold their political opinions, as I told you before the stream started, who have very very negative views on certain things. Anyway, moving on swiftly. Let's do an advert. So, if you want to explain what the advert is,
To explain.
Yeah. We're doing your Instagram page and what you do.
The picture. The picture dinner. Yeah. So I do some knitting. So I knit traditional Norwegian wear from usually like from the 1900s and upwards. Socks, gloves, like the neck thingies, beanies, sweaters. Yeah, anything you would need. They are made with 100% wool and home knitted by either me or my mom. So if you want anything knitted, just send me a message on Instagram that is on the screen and we can talk about it. So yeah, was this. As you can see on the picture, it's a pair of half gloves or hunting gloves that were used for shooting because you have your fingers free to shoot. And the other with the pattern on is traditional socks. Yeah. So thank you for showing.
No worries. Last comment from the previous thing. I appeal to SS to learn more about the SS in combat and uniforms to show the individual self-reflection that tells us yeah, that's fine. It's just, like I said, not picking on you or any particular unit, but I've come across people who do SS who play it as if it's real life and have very, very bad opinions. Not saying you do or your group does. I mean, no offense to you or your groups, but yeah, that's the reason why I do Living History, is purely to learn about the subject more, which you clearly do. So
yeah.
Anyway, moving on to the next topic. Worst time to be alive. So, when was the worst time in history to be alive for you?
Assuming you don't mean my personal life, but so I actually had this discussion in the car with my friends, like this exact question.
All right.
And we all had like different opinions, and we're like, "But have you considered this?" Because first I said like, imagine being alive during like the Black Plague. That would be really bad.
That would suck.
Yeah, but then we're like, yeah, but what about being a soldier during World War One? That was also really bad. And then and then my boyfriend, that is non-white, said, yeah, imagine being a slave. And I was like, yikes. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it all depends on where you're from and what culture, and yeah, because all time periods can be shitty depending on who you are and where you are located.
2020 is the worst year ever in human history. So I just thought I'd throw that out there.
So we didn't come to any conclusion. We just come to the conclusion that it was shitty, like general. Somewhere it was shitty for some people all the time.
For me, the worst period in history is the fall of the Roman Empire. I can't remember the date off the top of my head. Someone Google it. It'll be on screen now for the YouTube edit. That's the date I'm talking about. The worst because you go from, I know it's gradual, but you go from security, finance, hot water, plumbing and all, to suddenly, oh, there's Norwegians attacking my village, and there's nothing we can do. And my coins are no longer worth anything. My toilet no longer works, and I'm back in living in a mud hut. To me, that's kind of because it goes backwards a bit rather than forwards. I mean, in the Middle East, it was completely a different story. It was actually, especially towards the end of the Dark Ages, you get them being more progressive, science, history, and all this, But in the West, to me, that's the worst period in history is having the collapse of Rome.
I think in Norway it was probably like, yeah, medieval times because it was cold, they were starving, everyone was poor, there are no food, they're like
And then
the
you shot
Black
King
Plague is
Coriolis in the head later on as well.
yeah, sometimes. So, yeah, it really depends because yeah, it's ups and downs, but
Yeah.
and I was also thinking like, yeah, it depends a bit like if you're a woman or a man, if you're rich or poor, or
Well, then
like
again, that falls into cultures because if you were a woman in Athens, you weren't allowed to vote. You had to do everything with your husband's permission. Men, and all this. If it was in Sparta, a woman was expected to do the same as a man. So again, it depends. It depends where you are, what you do. I mean, there's probably never been a perfect time in history for people to exist, but
yeah, it's like a fun fact. Like in the Viking ages, the women actually had quite a lot of power in their home, because the women were like, it was their home, so they got like a lot of power, and they could divorce their husband if their husband wasn't
yes,
treating them
I've read
right.
some sagas about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's quite interesting that that could happen. So I was just thinking, like, it's weird how that was a thing in the Viking ages, and then you move like 200 years forward in time, and then it's like, no.
Yeah.
So
Gone.
gone. Yeah. So yeah, it must be like bad when you see you have all of this, and then someone just take it from you. Like you said, the fall of Rome, and then like they just come and just take it.
It's gone. Yeah.
It's gone.
Gone. No longer. No longer
Yeah.
yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
There's. I was reading a history article speaking about the Romans in the city of Pompeii. The one that with the volcano which shielded on it. Yeah. It turns out there was a great library there, and 2 years before the volcano erupted, it was burnt down. It was destroyed. Archaeologists did some research and they found out that if that hadn't have been burnt down, there was actually a scroll in there warning them that the volcano was going to erupt. So imagine if that hadn't, if anarchists hadn't, I don't know why it burned down. They think it was deliberate because there was a blip in the history of the town. But imagine if that had,
Yeah.
yeah, imagine the irony of that. Of like, wow, okay.
Just reading that and be like, maybe we should move. Yeah.
And as
But
I don't know about you, but I was taught in school Pompeii was like a Roman city. It was a big Roman city. It it actually was an adult's paradise because it was a holiday getaway for rich people because it was well known for having brothels, gambling. They found old carvings of stuff. They knew where there was lots of. They found 4 brothels within the same block. next to a tavern in the middle, and it's like, okay, yeah, this wasn't just this was like the Las Vegas of Rome, which is which is quite funny.
I guess. No, but it makes sense. It makes sense. Like,
Yeah,
and then it just like, oh my god,
yeah, gone.
too bad. No. Oof. I remember reading about like Pompeii because I thought it was like really interesting when I was younger. Just and also that it just could just disappear or not just disappear but just be gone
Yeah, in a
like
day,
that.
like that.
Yeah. And it was so weird to think about that and just like yeah, it's so weird. And that now we can walk there like now and just take a look at everything. And it's just like yeah, so weird.
Definitely. There's when I was really young, I used to watch a show called. Oh, okay. Good night, Mr. Rise. I'd love to get you, but I need to get ready for work. No worries. Cool. Yeah. Cool. Um, there's a road. I used to watch something called Time Commanders, which did historical battles on a computer generated thing, and it was kind of the preface to Rome Total War, and that's one of my favourite games. But anyway, going off topic. There was a battle between Boudica or Boadicea, depending which one you want to live on, between Boudicca and the Roman general Suetonius Paulinus, who was one of the Roman governors in Britain at the time. And the battle took place on a Roman road called Watling Street. Where I am at the moment, Watling Street is about 4 miles down the road from me and stretches along this long thing. And when I was a kid, I was sitting in the back of my car. My mum was driving. Went, do you know where we are, George? No, we're at Watling Street. No, the Roman road, the Watling Street. Yeah, Boadicea was over there, and the Romans were there, and it was like I could just tell you from just looking at it. It's like okay, the Romans were here, and it's just amazing. I love that.
Yeah, and it I was standing like this is where it happened. Like it's so yeah, it's really really interesting to be like standing on a really historical place.
Mm.
So it really makes you think, like stop and think a bit, like this is the place. Yeah.
Me and other George's favourite thing to do is when we look through, the old black and white photos of the First World War. Find those locations and put the photo up where it was then, because you can see. So
Yeah.
it's really cool to do.
Yeah, I've done that one time, and it was really really cool.
It
So
catches you off guard. It's quite cool to do.
yeah, I have this book that is like the southern Norway during World War II,
Mm.
and there was a photo there, and I was like staring at it, and I was thinking, I know where this is. I have been here many times. I know exactly where this is taken. So I went there and just like had the photo and like yeah, I took a picture with my phone and like photoshopped it together, and it was so weird to see. So and that was like just a few yeah kilometers from where I'm born and raised. So
There's a church up the road from where I live normally, and whenever we went past the church, I noticed there were holes. There was holes in the wall, and I never again. Years and years later, I work at my local archives, and there's a photo of that church, and there's a picture of a soldier kind of poking at the holes, stuff, and a German Zeppelin had dropped a bomb across the road, and the holes were from the shrapnel when it had gone onto the ground.
wow.
But it was like I never knew. I just thought that was a wear and tear and stuff. It's like no, that's shrapnel from a Zeppelin attack. Oh, cool.
Interesting to like oh wow.
Yeah.
So we have this near where I live. There were a lot of like German bases and fortresses along like the southern coast of Norway because yeah, they were like watching the passage
Oh, so
into
the
the.
fjords.
Um, that's on the western part, but
Okay.
like the space between Denmark and Norway, where you can go to get to the Eastern Sea and Sweden and Finland and all of that.
Mm.
I lived there, like,
All right.
yeah, and they were like building fortresses in Denmark and in Norway, so they could like shoot from both sides, so no one could get in or out.
I did some research. I know exactly what you mean. I did some research. There was a blockade runner, a famous blockade runner of. There was a British diplomat who lived in Sweden, and obviously Sweden's neutral. Denmark and Norway at this point are under the Nazi occupation, and he bought a huge amount of tonnage of supplies from the Swiss, put them in a boat, and basically turned to these captains who he'd known and basically went, good luck, I want you just to go straight to Britain, just go straight, ignore everything. And they based this little convoy, went through the passages, through all the gun turrets shooting at them, everything, and got to Britain and delivered something like enough to make something like 300 tanks.
Wow, they just went for it.
Go. They didn't care. They used. I think they did commit a bit of a war crime, which was they said they were Swedish because they were neutral, so the Germans couldn't fire at them for a certain amount of time. But yeah. Well, that's the thing. I believe as well. There was also a commando raid in between the two countries because the Commando Regiment 3 attacked a radar station, I believe, and it's where one chap was shot in the face and survived. They basically, the idea was the Norwegian resistance had asked them, Norwegian or Denmark, I'm not sure, I'm sorry, my geolocation's pretty bloody awful. But it was this small island that had a German garrison on it, a flak battery, and it had a radio mast. And the idea was the Norwegian resistance or Danish resistance had figured out that this was tracking Allied bombers when they were flying over. And because it was so close to the coast of Britain, every time a fighter took off from Scotland, they immediately, scramble. So they landed on a foggy night, and the only thing the German soldiers could hear in their little pillboxes was bagpipes coming out of the mist. They didn't know where, but all they could hear was bagpipes. And the Brits, during the battle, one British soldier kicks open a door and has a K-98 pushed against his face and fired. And he goes down. His officer behind him shoots, goes on. But there's a horrible picture, a gory picture, the chap survives though, of this guy being led like that with a massive bullet wound in his forehead, and he's still walking and talking and being led back to the carrier to escape. But yeah, I think that was either 4th Commando Brigade or 3rd Commando Brigade that did that.
Oh, crazy accidents or like wounds that people survive, and I'm like, how? Crazy.
A nurse told me if the body can take loads, it's the brain that stops it. If the brain goes no more, then it's game over. But as long as the brain doesn't go, it's game over. The body can take a ridiculous amount of pain and damage.
Yeah.
Don't try that, kids.
That makes
don't
total
try and
sense.
Figure out how much before your brain does it. Don't try it, kids. Don't try it.
Don't try it. Stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe. Stay safe.
Yeah, nurses don't recommend this. Don't do this.
Sorry, I just had a picture of like when you go on like those websites where it's like nurses hate him, but like train your brain not to feel pain. Nurses hate him.
Those are more likely than you think, or
yeah.
me. Oh.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, but talk about like the Norwegian resistance members. Some of them like did some crazy stuff, like because a lot of the British planes that were coming had to drop like their, I don't remember what it's called, but like the load up in the mountains in Norway, and the only way to get there is by skiing. So like they had to like ski all the way up to the mountains and not get caught, and and like pick up this load that was like super heavy, and
Yeah,
drag it
posters.
on skis, like all the way back to like a small, like super basic cabin that they had just built in the forest. So it's like, wow.
I
So
I was reading a story about a Norwegian resistance group, and they started when the Germans occupied. They kind of did nothing for a couple of weeks, and then they slowly worked their way up to being pains. So the first thing they did was they slashed some German bicycle tires, or the local German bikes.
yeah,
Not really bad, but it would be a pain. Then they started
yeah, it's
throwing.
like
Yeah, it would cause problems.
it's annoying.
Then they started throwing bricks through their windows of like their offices and their trucks and stuff, which again,
Mm,
bad, not really. And then they went to
just
yeah,
annoying.
just annoying.
Yeah.
Then they started stealing weapons from the Germans, like that. I mean, um, a German soldiers patrolling. Someone would go up with them with their fingers in their pocket, point it against them, go, "I've got a gun in here, surrender." So they take his guns. Okay, go away now. We've now got real guns. Up to something ridiculous like they attacked like an SS stronghold and stole documents, destroyed weapons and stuff. And it's like, oh right, the progression of resistance going up is quite interesting. I really want to do an impression of the Polish Home Army though,
Yeah,
or resistance group.
yeah, that would be right. I also want to do some like resistance member or like something like that because you can decide a bit more on the clothes and do like traditional wear or just mix it up a bit. And then, like there's so much fun to do, and it doesn't really matter. Like you don't have to be like super precise about the uniform is like this, no choice.
Hmm.
Like can actually do some more personal choices, and that I think that would be also be really fun.
Yeah, I'd love to do. I'd love to do some. Again, there's not many groups who do resistance, so it's trying to find a group to do. I'd want to do Belgian resistance or Denmark, or I wouldn't want to do French resistance because having read their rap sheets and stuff, they weren't as great as some of the emphasis has been put on them. But I will leave others to find their own research on that.
Cool to like do resistance. I don't think I when I talked to like my grandmother or so, she was just a kid during the war in Norway,
Hmm.
and so she can't really remember much. But she can't remember that one time her big brother like let loose some pigs or something. That like that was that did belong to like the German occupation, and he was like tore down the fence and just let the pigs out.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, knowing
Yeah,
the enemy.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so he like that like didn't do anything illegal, but he was like annoying. Yeah.
There was
Oh.
the really an impressive thing the French resistance did is the French railroad group were fiercely anti-Nazi, extremely fiercely anti-Nazi. And one day they were told that we need to shift rations for 200 men on this train. So they put a bit of rat poison in each ration and a bit of battery acid in each ration, very on the side, and they managed to send down 200 German soldiers to the infirmary with stomach upsets, and it played merry hell. Unfortunately, they were traced, and obviously the Germans, the SS and Gestapo, weren't too happy with that, and yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But
But
it's
wow.
like good grief, that's impressive.
Yeah. Like, wow.
In
And the,
Sorry, go on.
no, I was yeah, it's amazing like what people do like creative ways to like cause like
Cause mayhem.
Yeah.
It's if you really put your mind to it, you can really cause mayhem. If this if you can have some
Yeah,
good fun.
absolutely.
In Britain, we had during the 1941, when we thought we were going to have the biggest threat of the Nazi invasion, we had people who were basically assigned to be suicide bombers, basically. And the idea, if you when you go walking in British woods, you may find like a concrete pipe just in the ground in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a forest land, and most people think, oh, it's electrics. Underneath was actually a bunker, and what would happen is they would hire local farm hands or girls, and if the Germans came over, they'd drop a ball down this tube, and it would give orders to these guys, and these chaps were basically single-handedly trained as well as the commandos just to cause absolute merry hell. And they had tasks like blow up bridges. They were given, I think the nastiest thing, they were given lists of people by the British government who thought would collaborate with the Nazis, and their orders were, the Germans start invading, your orders are to silence them in any means possible. And they were only given a knife and a pistol and taught how to live off the land. And they were basically told, if the Nazis come, you don't stop attacking till you're dead. You cause hell. And they were given landmines, taught how to use German landmines, how to just cause absolute all by themselves, absolute chaos.
Wow.
And one veteran of it said, I walked through the entire war with a hand grenade in my pocket, ready to pull the pin out at any moment. So if a German soldier approached me, I could. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to take a couple of Nazis with me. But luckily, it never happened. But
Yeah.
it's just kind of wow. Okay.
But they were ready. Yeah.
I don't doubt that there were other countries that were doing the same after the fall of Poland, but it's just kind of the good grief. Okay.
Yeah. Norway was like, they knew that something was up, but they didn't do that much. So, yeah. But we tried. We tried to fight back.
Well,
But
you are
yeah.
facing a new type of warfare that's never been seen before, so you can't
Yeah.
expect, perfection.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and Norway is also one of the few countries that has been like taken over through radio because
Yes.
yeah, they said on the radio that Norway had fallen before it had actually fallen,
Hmm.
but but people believed that because they heard it on the radio, so it had to be true. So they were just like, oh, okay,
Well, we're under the German rule
well,
now.
yeah, so
Yeah.
so Norway kind of fell through, of course, the fighting, but also the radio was the thing that went to the public, like the civilians. So
I,
it's weird.
I don't know if she's Danish or Norwegian, but Sandy Toksvig, if you've heard of her.
Uh, Maybe if you like write it down to me,
Yeah.
so
I'll just give me a second.
yeah. Sometimes it's just easier to read it and be like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was going to say, I might be saying her name wrong.
Yeah, no worries.
Danish.
I feel like I'm butchering like Danish. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I'll put it in chat. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks. Yeah, it looks Danish.
Yeah. Her parents were around. She wrote a book called Hitler's Canary. Because the Danish wouldn't. People kept jokingly calling them Hitler's Canary because they seemed so willing to let the Nazis take over, which wasn't true in the slightest. But her brothers, her granddad's brother and him wrote about their whole experience of being under Nazi rule, and they taught themselves English so they could talk to downed American and British pilots and rescue them if they needed. But their oldest brother took them into a cafe one day, I can't remember exactly it, but they started talking to these three German officers, and the brother went up to went, my brother has been learning the German the German national anthem. He wants to sing it to you. And these officers obviously seeing this little kid. Oh yeah, go on. As he's singing it for him, the bigger brother is actually going around their belts, stealing their Lugers and putting them in his pants, so he can walk. So he's just little stories like that make me think. Oh right, okay, very different times.
Yeah, it must have been so different. So, my grandmother also told me that after the war, she was like 7 or 8, and she got just butter. She just like got a bit of butter as a Christmas present, and it was the most amazing Christmas present she had gotten in years. And she was just so amazed by this piece of butter that she could just eat. And I was like, imagine getting a piece of butter and being so happy.
Was this part of the carpetbaggers? So towards the end of the war, again, sorry, Norway, Denmark, I'm not sure. There was a food shortage, and it was in Holland as well. There was a huge food shortage.
Yeah, and it was in Norway as well.
It was in Norway, and there was negotiations between the Axis and Allies, and they said we are going to fly planes over, dropping supplies over to civilians, just food.
Yeah.
There was an American group of bombers called the Carpetbaggers, and their air base isn't too far away from where my aunt lives. And my great granddad was one of the British version of the Carpetbaggers, and he was dropping these huge canisters full of food down. And he remembers going after the war through this one village, and someone coming up to him going, "What did you do in the war?" And he was, "I was an RAF pilot. I was in a Lancaster bomber." And the whole village suddenly came out and started hugging him, and he was like, "What? I never," and he couldn't understand it. And then because he was never told what he was dropping, he was just told, "Oh, you're dropping canisters," and he didn't realise what was going on. But
know what was in them.
They just said,
wow!
All he was, because to him it was war. He went on air raids to Dresden and stuff. So when he got down, they were like, "What, you're loading up canisters? Cool, okay. Don't know what's in them. Don't really care. Bombs away. Okay, target's done. Let's go home and have a couple of pints." But
just doing my job, like
interesting.
With that, getting that, and her big brother bred rabbits to eat.
Oh right.
Like during the war, because rabbits are like the easiest to breed.
And they're delicious.
I have never had rabbit, but I've heard so. So
you can make good gloves out of them as well.
But so her big brother, bred rabbits for food during the war, and that was like yum, I guess.
Yeah, rabbits are nice. That's very tasty.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like, it's so different from what we're using. We can just go to the store and buy some food. So easy.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, but I guess Norway was like, it was like a really poor country. It wasn't until like the oil got like they figured out we have oil, now we're rich.
Did somebody say oil?
Yeah. And now Norway is like, look at all this money we got. So
here comes money.
yeah, it's so weird. Like just 2 generations ago, it was so different.
Yeah, the great thing about history is that when you see when I started doing First World War living history, if I said the Battle of Waterloo between Napoleon, the British, the Germans, and when I joined reenactment, that was 200 years old, and it's still only 200 years old. It's still within the 200, and it's just that can't have been 200 years ago because so much has changed. There, with bright red scarlet uniforms and jackets. Now you've got nuclear bombs, computers, cyber. It's Good lord, 200 years ago.
It just went like straight. I when I studied like history at university, it was like the like old eras we did like 2,000 years at a time or like 1,000 years at a time. Then it just goes shorter and shorter and shorter. And at the modern era, we have to do like 5 or 10 years at a time because it's changing so fast. So,
jeez.
but yeah, so I remember like the first test we had was like from the 10,000 years before Christ to like year 0. So it was like 10,000 years.
God.
And the last one was like the Cold War. That's it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. What else would it be?
Yeah. So of course.
Yeah.
But and it was just so fast, so fast. Just imagine like what will it be like 20 years from now, 50 years from now.
God. I'll be 63 then.
Yeah. I imagine we would be like old people and be like, imagine back in my days we
My
did
generation
this.
had it worse than yours.
Yeah. We probably will be
I
like
went
that.
through Corona.
Yeah.
I had swine flu and Corona when I was your... Yeah.
Yeah. We will probably be like that. So.
Crotchety, grumpy old people. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it just, and I also saw someone. I didn't think about it, but I was wearing like a vintage dress at a Christmas event that was like from the 30s. And when I started to think about it, like the 30s, it doesn't feel like it's that long ago, but it's like almost 100 years ago.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I was wearing a dress just casually that is like 100 years old to a Christmas party. Like, yeah. And I didn't think I was like, I am wearing history. But I am.
Yeah,
but
it's not an exaggeration, it's the truth. It's scary
yeah.
stuff. It's very scary stuff.
Yeah, and also with reenactment, like if you have original items, it feels so.
That's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. Like you just know that this is good. So I don't have many original items like the armband and the brooch. Those are the old, and also some of the medical equipment is original, but none of the like clothing. So it just feels real nice to know that this little thing is a piece of history and it has like gone through so much. So that is one thing I like about like World War II reenactment, that you can actually get original items, and it's not like if you're doing like Civil War or something, you're not gonna get like, original items.
It's true. Well, you're less likely to get. I've seen a few.
Yeah.
Less likely to get.
Less likely.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if you have any. So
I do have some original stuff. I recently found a lucky penny from 1871. It's weathered, well used because of the bust in the family hand since the year it was made. Yeah. If you check my personal Instagram, Klaus the Forklift, I have a steel helmet. That steel helmet was found in a field.
Wow.
And it was done up by a friend of mine and given to me. I'm trying to find a German one to go with it, but there's a massive dent on the left side of the helmet, and that's, you look at it and think, oh, that saved someone's life then. It was just found lying in the middle of a field, so it's like, grief, that's been through the mill and back. And you see my great granddad's binoculars have got his name carved into this leather case for binoculars, and underneath is a name crossed out. It's like, what happened to the chap whose whose name was crossed out. What did he do and stuff? And it's just finding out little
Yeah,
tidbits like that. It's like, ooh, there's a mystery there, and I want to find it.
like figure it out. It's just really exciting, like trying to research it and figure it out. It's like mystery.
Yeah, it's always good. It's always good.
Hmm. Yeah, I found some books when I was at like a flea market,
Hmm.
and there were two books right next to each other, and I picked up one of them, and it was uh, uh, about castles in Germany. But when I opened it up, it said like special edition for the Wehrmacht
Oh.
inside of the book, and I was like, oh, interesting. And then the book next to it, that they were like close together, and I picked it up, and it was also about castles in Germany. And when I opened it up, it says like, "To my dear Lisa, love from your Werner," and it was like, this must have been a gift from someone, like maybe it was like a German soldier in Norway or something. It's
Oh.
like Bergen Christmas 1942 or something. I was like, wow. And then since I found both of those together, it must be like it made sense. so
Yeah.
so I really I wonder like how did this book that was given to Lisa in 1942 have just show up at a flea market on the other side of Norway.
Uh,
Like,
I was I I was at the archives and we found a they had this box. The way archives works, they keep stuff in boxes, and they our archives has had a bit of a shake up, so there's been a bit of organisation problems. And inside was this book, and it was a children's book from the First World War. This has got a bit of a sad story to it. I'm sorry, so get your tissues ready. I opened it up, and a letter fell out, and it was
oh,
an inside. And I opened the letter up and had a look, and it was a love letter from the mayor at the time's son. And I can't remember exactly what it says. Dear, my dearest Isabel, I long to be with you this Christmas. Um, I love you loads. I hope you and Babe are okay. Babe
yeah.
at the time. Hope you and Babe are okay. Here's a lock of my hair. I miss you dearly, and I wish forever to be safely in your arms.
Oh,
That was written. That was
sweet.
dated 1914, the 25th.
Mm.
31st of December, he was shot in the head and killed. So that was the last letter he may have ever
Wow,
sent.
that was the last
That
letter.
may have been his last letter to his wife and family. And it's
Wow.
like, geez, I thought that was really
Yeah.
sweet and nice. And then they researched, they're like, oh my gosh, that was
Ah,
someone's last letter to their loved ones.
so, and it was just like in a book, like in a
In this
archive.
kid's
But,
in this little kid's book. So I reckon he bought this book for
ah,
his kid, and his wife had put it in there, and then had never opened it up
mm,
after for obvious or had hidden it for obvious reasons. And it was just bloody hell, right? Okay, it's quite
wow.
fitting. But yeah.
And then it just, you happen to just stumble upon it, like, yeah.
There's no
It's
accidents,
a,
but yeah, there's just
oh,
looking at stuff, finding stuff. It's interesting.
yeah, very interesting. I also think so. I love to go to like flea markets and just
Oh hell yeah!
see, yeah, just see what happens and just what I can find and what that just shows up. It's so interesting. so,
Well, I
yeah,
think we're going to call that a night now. So thank you everyone else for tabbing in. I hope you've enjoyed the talk. Thank you very much for coming on.
no problem. Thank you for inviting me.
I'll just
So,
show your the advertisement one last time so people can come and follow you on Instagram and hopefully buy some of
thank
your
you.
fantastic knitted stuff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
so,
much. Take care. Good night, and please tune
yeah.
in next in the next 2 weeks where hopefully George will be back and well, and we can have more conversations. Take care. Cheers. Thank you.